How do we know if our bonsai tree is dying or if it's still alive? Well, it can be very difficult to tell sometimes. There are things you can look for and things you can do to prevent a bonsai tree getting more sick or, worst case scenario, die. First, we have to analyze the situation and try to figure out what actually caused this problem. Before we go any further, let's just take a little short horticulture reminder. Trees, they live in assimilation. The root system is dependent on the foliage, and the foliage is dependent on the root system. You can say that the root system is the engine, is the heart of the tree, but the roots don't feed the tree. The tree feeds the roots. This is important to know. It seems like deciduous trees are dying from the outside in. First, leaves will drop, then smaller branches will dry and die off, then bigger branches, and then finally the trunk, and last the root system. Conifers, on the other hand, will die in the opposite way, from the root system first, then to spread to the trunk, main branches, smaller branches, and lastly the needles or the foliage. It's a big difference between how they respond when they get sick or when they are dying. Now start looking at the soil. What kind of soil is your bonsai standing in? Is it well drained? Does it do the work for the roots? Remember that a healthy root system will always thrive in good drainage, lots of oxygen, and a lot of moist. If you can't use your eyes, well, use your nose. By smelling through the drainage holes, you can actually get a lot of information. If it smells weird or funky, perhaps there's a little part of the root system that's actually rotting away. Maybe you have some waterlogged soil in there. If you have those kind of problems, you better get rid of that root as soon as you can by lifting up the tree and remove that sick, infected root. Try not to disturb the rest of the root system. The color under the cambium on any tree that's alive and healthy should always be green. The next step would naturally be to scratch the bark and look for green. If you can see green under there, you are 100% sure that that root is alive and that cambium is fresh and healthy. Start by taking a sample from the roots, check if it's green, fresh, healthy underneath the cambium. Work yourself up to the trunk line, then the main branches, and finally the smaller, finer branches. If you should find under the bark a color that's white, pale green, or even worse, brown, dark brown, that part is most likely sick or already dead. Now we are at the top of the tree and the foliage part, okay? So everything down here at soil level, everything down here buried in the root system, we can't see that, we don't know anything about that, but we do know that the tree is unhealthy if something is wrong up here. These two, remember, they work with each other. Roots, foliage, foliage, roots. Okay, so let's study the foliage. Let's look for aberrations and deviating patterns. If there's something wrong here, let's say discoloration, wrinkly small leaves, weak branches, pale color, for example, then you can be pretty sure that something is wrong with your tree. It's not feeling healthy. Take a look at this leaf, for example. It's very yellow in the tip and it has black dots. That's most likely because it's lacking nutrients. I'm guessing it's lacking iron and magnesium. That's the typical look of a tree that haven't got their nutritions, their micronutrients right. So that's something I have to work with. You can find good charts online for this, where you can see exactly how leaves look when they are deficient of nutrients. Just to get that out there, is any of these trees ill or sick right now? Probably not. They look healthy to me, but the bougainvillea in the back here has discoloration and black dots on some of the leaves. Just because some of the parts of your tree is not feeling well doesn't mean your whole tree is gonna die eventually or get sick over time. Find a solution for that certain problem. That's why we do all these steps when we're evaluating the health of our trees. When you're buying bonsai from an unknown source or a garden center or something like that, most likely 10 times out of 10 that plant is root bound. That means that it's suffering. The roots are not able to pick up nutrients or energy because there's too much roots in the pot. What about pest? There is a lot of pest out there for your bonsai tree. We have aphids, mildew, spider mites, lice. Yeah, the list can go on and on. One of the best things to protect yourself and your bonsai tree versus pest is to buy pesticide, liquid form, and then you spray the whole thing. If you want to do something really effectful, I would recommend to get yourself Bravado sticks. You just take it out of the carton. Since this is a little pot, I will use the half of this. Crack it in half and just put that into the soil like this. What's gonna happen now is when I'm watering this bonsai, this will go through the root system. The small feeder roots will suck this up and it will travel all the way along the stem, the trunk, and out to the branches and to the foliage. And when the mildew and the lice and all the aphids are chewing on the juice, on the sapwood, they will die. Every single one of them is just gonna die. This stuff right here might not always kill them. It's effective, but this is a little bit better, I think. I'm gonna show you one method that I use a lot when I suspect and when I think a tree is suffering. This is a way to re-establish the root growth and to make sure the root system is healthy again. To do that, we need high moisture and high temperature. So I start with spraying the foliage and the surface of the soil, very generous like this, and then I water the plant. Like this. Then I open the plastic bag that I have because we are going to use this to gain high moisture. It's the only way. We're going to create a microclimate. I spray inside of this and I put the tree on this. The tricky part is to find a plastic bag that has the right size. This was perfect for this one, so this is snug and tight now, so I don't have to use tape on this specific demonstration, but if there's gaps, just use tape to seal it in.